This is dedicated to my dear Auntie Ali. We love and miss you. Can you hear us? Hello? It's me. Hear us? Can they hear us? Hear me? Can you hear me? The last millennial. Can you hear me? Good. Hi, I'm your host Imani, and this podcast is The Last Millennial. It's a long time coming, but here we are. Now, I know some of you are asking, what does that even mean? Are you literally the last millennial? No, I'm not the last millennial on this planet, nor do I claim to be. But, according to the Pew Research Center, millennials are born in 1981 to 1996. As of today, in 2022, we range from the ages of 41 to 25 years old. I was born in October of 1996, making me at the end of this age group. Many will argue what the definition is, and some even would consider me a Gen Z cusper, whatever that means. However, I comfortably consider myself a millennial, specifically a budding millennial that's grasping adulthood in a society that's increasingly making economic mobility harder each day. A lot has changed since we were born. Many social, tech, and scientific advances have been made. But have they been to our benefit as the future inheritors of the earth? If you're a younger millennial, like myself, who's trying to get an idea of where they belong in this world, trying to figure out what seat do they have at the table, if we even have a seat, you're not alone. This podcast is for you. Us millennials, we are a very unique group in history. We're in between the 20th and the 21st century. We witnessed the dawn of the internet age. Most of us can recall our lives without internet. I know I can. A time where talking on the phone was a fun pastime instead of a dreaded task that might give you anxiety. When writing letters was a necessity for communication. When you had to get calling cards to contact family in another country. Now you can get all of their WhatsApp messages and calls every day. This podcast is dedicated to the voice of a generation that has been misjudged and ridiculed for over 2 generations. Since I could remember, millennials have been the center of conversations for politics, media, careers, education, health, and even religion. For years, commentators have even pointed to millennials as a future change that's needed to propel our society. Yet, when we attempt to make those changes, or step up to the plate, or we're finally given the torch, it's seen as disruptive, or uncouth, and even some cases obscene. We are reprimanded when we step out of line, when in fact it's our purpose to redefine those lines and limitations. Meaning we are the generation that doesn't just get to take up resources like the previous generations. Some of us want to distribute and share the wealth and let people have a better quality of life. Millennials are usually described as lazy, unrelatable, trouble, ill-prepared, destroyers, politically irresponsible, and my favorite, spoiled. In reality, we've inherited the short end of the stick. The wealth in our nation is not being shared properly throughout the different social classes, and the wealth isn't being shared generationally either. According to a 2017 report by the advocacy group Young Invincibles, they found that millennials earn $10,000 less than their parents did when they were young adults. Millennials are more likely to be worse off than their parents at the same age. We are also likely to have shorter lifespans than that of previous generations before us. According to Apparition Care, only 30% of millennials expect to live to 85 to 100 years old, compared to 43% of baby boomers. In fact, Millennials think they will live to an average age of 81, while baby boomers expect to live about 4 years longer on average. And we can only guess what all of this will look like for Gen Z and beyond. The middle class is shrinking, the poverty rate is increasing, home ownership is becoming less and less likely. According to Forbes, the current median age of first-time buyers has increased to 33 years old, compared to 28 or 29 back in 1981. There are many factors to why millennials aren't able to save for a down payment, whether it's the weight of student debt, the cost of healthcare, out of reach affordable housing, or inflation. So I just listed all of what we have, and quite frankly, it sucks. So what are we going to do about it? This isn't about complaining. We need to speak up and do something. This podcast is a way for us to find alternative options and answers to our issues.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
The Last Millennial is sponsored by Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free, 100%. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
But on the bright side, we cannot forget that we have so many positives of our generation. We're the most educated group. We are the most racially and ethnically diverse adult generation in this nation's history. Gen Z will take that spot once they all become adults, but for now we have that title. We are innovators, creating social media apps and sites that have connected billions of people all over the planet. We are socially conscious, at least trying to be, in creating grassroots movements, and we take pride in our individuality. We are a unique group with the way we think. We make our lives as customizable as our smartphones, incorporating individualism to almost every aspect of our lives. We do things the way we want, and self-expression and self-care come first for us. A growing number of us see through the divisive politics and just identify as ourselves. At least in the USA, we are not just Democrat or Republican. We are not liberal or conservative, because those terms are starting to pigeonhole who we are. We are beyond the boxes on a piece of paper. We are beyond the baggage that comes with those weighted labels. We even have individualism in our thoughts and religion. A Pew Research Center survey released in 2021 found 29% of U.S. adults said they had no religious affiliation, an increase of 6 percentage points from 2016, with millennials leading that shift. Spirituality has had a dramatic gain in fellowship compared to previous generations who identified with one particular religion. Even if a millennial practices one religion, they're more likely to reason or listen to others with a different religious or spiritual belief. But we're not all kumbaya, at least not yet. In another Pew Research Center survey that was published in 2015, it revealed that millennials are less attached to organized religion than their parents or grandparents were at the same age, with only about 40% saying religion is very important in their lives. However, the same survey revealed that about 80% of millennials believe in God, and increasing numbers identify with statements like, "I feel a deep sense of spiritual peace and well-being," or "I sense a deep sense of wonder about the universe." It's important to hear the views of different belief systems. This podcast will also touch on the taboo, the occult, and other worldly subjects. According to another poll by the Pew Research Center, an average of 70% of Americans from the age of 18 to 49 years old believe that extraterrestrials exist and intelligent life inhabit other planets. There is so much to explore in these topics, and this is an open platform to discuss what is going on. Here on this podcast, we are able to have taboo conversations that might change our perception on life. I personally believe that millennials have witnessed so many life-altering events in our short lifetimes that naturally, as a generation, we are focusing on inner change of self and actively try to accomplish what is better for the collective. There has been an energetic shift in how we look at life in the past few years, where we question the lifestyles that have been pushed onto us. What is important? What milestones are you supposed to hit? What jobs are we willing to do to live? This is all changing. More and more of us are customizing our lives to do what we desire. A lot of us are removing the chains of complacency and unhappiness. We are engaging in alternate lives that we want. At least we're trying to. With our ever-changing world, we will never know the right answers, but at least we can try together. If you want to learn more or fact check me with your Twitter fingers, you can head over to my website, www.imani.com, and see all the info that's been provided for in this episode of The Last Millennial. Thank you for listening, and see you next time. Peace.